Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day, and today I have what I would declare the best build for Prismatic Hunter in Crucible. Now, this build excels specifically in 3v3s, but I can use it in 6s, or you can use it in 6s, I should say. It's just, you see more of the value in 3s. The build calls for Renewal Grasp. The idea behind it is whenever you throw your dust field nades, the nades themselves have a much larger radius, and it gives you and allies frost armor when you're inside of it, which if you didn't know, reduces incoming damage. Pairing with that, you would want conditional Iggy primarily. If you do not have a good igneous hammer or conditional, I haven't really found good other weapons, but effectively you want the hand cannon shoddy roll. You want to be able to do damage at least whenever they're outside of your combo range, and be way more effective if they are inside your combo range. Speaking of your combo, the combo I'm talking about is Snare Bomb and Duskfield. Both of these abilities in their respective state hold down area. You can throw either on heavy or cover or just anywhere on the map, and the other team just cannot deal with it. They cannot stand in it unless it goes away. It's not something that you can just deal with easily. On top of that, you want Stylus Executioner. Whenever your target is affected by any elemental debuff, if they are defeated, it'll get you invisibility and True Sight, which if you didn't know, is wall hacks. Secondarily, you want to bring Threaded Spectre. The idea is if they decide to play range and peek shot you with say a hand cannon or any other weapon, you can throw Snare Bomb or Duskfield, or by the way, you can throw both of them if you feel like it, at their cover, and now they cannot play it. If they push you, shotgun it, you can simply dodge away with a Threaded Spectre, and if they're on roller perchance, it will actually take their aim assist, or it might just take the bullet that would kill you otherwise, leaving behind a strand decoy that will blow up if they're close to it, dealing a lot of damage, and release threadlings that'll seek out and deal more damage if it's not dealt with properly. You see where we're going here? Since we're talking about trials specifically, the supers that I would recommend are Deadfall and Silence and Squall. If you see my stats here, you need high mobility, high recovery, and high discipline to make sure that all of this works. And your intellect kind of falls off there, so I would go with either Deadfall or Silence and Squall. Primarily Deadfall because Silence and Squall is less useful in terms. Of course, you can do the new super, the Storm's Edge. I don't actually know how useful that is against say wells and bubbles. I haven't done enough playtesting. If it is useful, go ahead and use that. It's perfectly fine. And since we're talking about zone trials, I would go with Deadfall personally. It shuts down a lot of supers. It's very useful for zone control and things like wells and bubbles. And even with 60 intellect, I get it back in 6 minutes. You're probably thinking perks, so what fragment should I use? You're gonna want to Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Overpower grants you a buff. It's solely dependent on which super you use. So if you're using Silence and Squall, it will give you frost armor, which by the way is not that useful because you can already get it off of your Renewal Grasp and your Dust Field. But if you're on Deadfall, you will actually get a Void Overshield just for picking up an Overpower. You're going to want Facet of Blessing. Since your wombo combo is primarily short range and you have a shotgun and all that, if you are getting a melee kill, then you're just simply gonna get health regeneration. This is very useful for staying up in a fight. You're gonna want Facet of Command, which means freezing or suppressing a target reloads your equipped weapons and increases weapon stability, aim assist, and airborne effectiveness. This is mainly gonna be procced from your Dustfield grenade, but if you hit them with your super, it also suppresses them. So this is just an extra buff going with, and there's no stat debuff, so it's pretty much a no-brainer. Secondarily, defeating frozen or suppressed targets creates a stasis shard or a void breach. They just pretty much give you ability energy whenever you pick them up. It's just a good plus. Now, we're talking about Facet of Dawn. Powered melee hits, which by the way is your Snare Bomb, makes you radiant. Now, I don't think you're understanding what I just said. Powered melee hits make you radiant, meaning that if you hit somebody with a Snare Bomb, it will weaken them, increasing damage and reducing their movement speed, and it will give you radiant, increasing your damage. Like come on, how does it go? And finally, you're gonna want Facet of Ruin. Now, the main purpose of this is actually the mobility, since they took away the last artifact, and shatter diving and shattering crystals isn't as effective. Although, you know, the new episodes are coming eventually, they may be better down the line. It basically says increasing the size and damage of the burst whenever you shatter a stasis crystal or a frozen target. You just do more damage whenever you break your crystal if somebody's around it. You get the point. Finally, and I probably should have said this first, you're gonna want Gambler's Dodge. Now, if you're paying attention, my strength is at 8. The reason being Anytime that I dodge near an enemy, which by the way will be putting down my threaded specter, I get my melee abilities free. There's no reason to waste stats in strength at all, because simply dodging just gives me my full snare mod back. Next, we're talking about mods. And I put on Dynamo, reduces super cooldown whenever you use your class ability near targets. You don't have to put this on if you're not as comfortable shooting a gun. You can easily put on a targeting mod of any sorts if you feel that'll make you happier. But this extra super faster, just for using my class ability and just for doing what I was already going to do in the first place, it was too hard to pass up. Next are Impact Induction and Bolstering Detonation. Grants class ability whenever you cause damage with a grenade, something you're already going to be doing, and it's going to keep your combo up longer, and gives you power, or whenever you cause damage with your powered melee attack, it reduces your grenade cooldown. Again, something that you're already going to be doing, and it's going to keep your combo up. For your legs, you're going to want Recuperation and Better Already. The reason being, on your class item, you're going to want Reaper, which shortly after using your class ability, again, something that you're just simply going to do, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. So you dodge near a person, you get a threaded specter, you kill them with your weapon specifically. Keep in mind your threaded specter, if the threadlings kill them, then it won't proc. Then you can go over the orb of power, get Recuperation and Better Already, which will pretty much put you at max health. And if you remember, we have Facet of Purpose, which will give you an overshield simply for picking up an orb of power. You see how all this kind of synergizes, correct? Finally, I want to talk about your artifact. The perk Expanding Abyss means that void sources do increased damage to weakened targets. This will primarily be used after your super if you want to throw maybe like a smoke bomb on somebody. I feel like that's kind of overkill, but it's just good to have because it would already be going with your build anyway. Void Hegemony. Hegemony. However you say this. While you have a Void or Prismatic subclass equipped, defeating weakened targets provides a small overshield. Again, something that you're just simply going to be doing. It's going to give you an overshield. Radiant Orbs. While you have a Solar or Prismatic subclass equipped, picking up an Orb of Power makes you radiant. So again, I'm sorry for saying again so much, but it synergizes so well. Everything goes together. You dodge, it gives you a threaded specter. You kill somebody, you get all your health back and an overshield ×2 because you have two things giving you an overshield, and now you're radiant, which means you do more damage with your guns. Press the Advantage. I actually don't know if this procs in PvP. I probably should have seen that before, but bringing a combatant shield grants increased weapon stability, handling, and reload speed. I would just put this on anyway. There's actually not that many good perks in this column that are good for PvP, so just kind of just throw it on and forget it. If you enjoy this build, please like and subscribe. There's also going to be a dim link below if you want to just go ahead and like copy everything over and then put it on your character. And thank you for watching. I'm definitely going to be using this build a lot more. And oh yeah, I probably should have said this earlier, but for those of us that don't want to use Renewal Grasp, very simple. You're just going to have to be a little bit more precise with your dust fields because they're going to be smaller, and you're going to want to raise your resilience because you don't get frost armor whenever you're standing in them. So you can put on stompies per se, but you're definitely going to want a higher resolve.